This will reprogram your brain and change you forever. People are looking for the ultimate secret of what's going on in the mind of people who are doing everything right. You stumble upon the programs of your brain. Some even become aware of them. So what is the difference between the programs in some people's brains and those in others' brains? The difference is in the perception of the events. People have the same events happen to them, give or take. You only think that what you have going on right now is something unique and very different from what others have. Others are having the same things happen to them, but their perception of those things is different.
Everyone's special, Dash. Which is another way of saying no one is.
I'm about to give you the key to reprogram your brain. The key point is to begin to perceive events in your life differently, so that they do not destroy you, but on the contrary, support you and give you a resource. Watch this video to the end, and your perception will definitely change. What is the special perception of those things happening to everyone? This perception goes like, this is exactly what's good for me. When something bad happens to you, for instance, you were late for some meeting, or you slept through your alarm clock and missed your plane and didn't get on some trip, or some important meeting was canceled, the organizer postponed it or refused to hold the meeting at all. People often get upset about this and think that supposedly something went wrong, looking for negative meanings in these events, that everything is wrong, disgusting, that things aren't how they should be. And you then initiate the process of perceiving your events in a negative light. Let me show you a different point of view. For example, let's say you've been laid off from your job and you're thinking,
You're fired!
this is a nightmare. How am I going to pay the bills or the mortgage? Or how am I going to feed my kids? Or where and how am I going to live? The mere event of being fired from your job is something people are used to seeing as something negative. But try now to see this event through a new prism of somehow this is good for me, and start entertaining ideas of why this particular event is good for you. Maybe you've been hesitant to leave your job for a long time. You were uncomfortable there. You didn't like the activity. You felt burnt out. Maybe there were a million different factors that you didn't like, that didn't align with your goals. But you didn't have the determination to take that step. And for some reason, it's good for you now. And through that impulse, you start to take a different course of action. You are forced to start looking for new options, a new job. You make arrangements with someone. Manifest. Get on LinkedIn. Maybe you decide to change careers. And that's good for you, but you may not see it in the moment. For some reason, I mentioned being fired from my job in particular. And I recall my own personal example of being fired from 2 different jobs within a 6-month period in 2020 when there was a pandemic. It was an anomalous event in my life. I haven't been laid off from jobs very often, but such a series of events, this string of circumstances. I was really worried about it because the companies I worked for, they're really cool. They're market leaders, and I had a good position in both of them. But for some reason, that was good for me. I changed my occupation, got a new career, and my life unfolded in a completely different way. Now I make over $100 million a month. But if that event hadn't happened then, I would never be where I am today. I would have loved to work where I was at either of the jobs. But then it would be completely invisible to me why that was a good thing for me. There have been times when I really wanted to get to some place. Real examples from this year. I was planning a trip with my daughter to Switzerland for vacation at the end of May, and many processes were tied to that. But all of a sudden it turns out that I did not make sure that I had a visa in advance. And the company that sent me on this trip was sure that I had one, because I travel often, and they did not even consider that I might not have it. I ask at the last moment, "Guys, what about the visa? Should I do it myself or will you handle it?" And so we can't get the documents and permission to leave in time. We had to postpone the trip and moved it to mid-June. And in mid-June, I postponed some training. We fly to Switzerland, talk to the guide, and she says, "We had anomalous rains here in May, and we had a trip planned from May 21st to 28th. If we had left on time, we wouldn't have been able to fly the helicopter. We were able to fly over the Alps and get a bird's eye view of the Alps and even landed on a glacier. Many locations would have been inaccessible just because it was raining, and it would have been uncomfortable. Could we have somehow anticipated in advance that this would be the case? No, it was anomalous weather for the area during that time frame, but I just couldn't get my visa done in time due to a string of circumstances." Another event that initially looked negative. It was also related to travel and the visa. And we were supposed to fly to Greece in early July, but postponed the trip until mid-August. We did all the paperwork, had a change of plans. We arrive in August, and the organizers tell us that in July, Greece had a scorching 40 to 50 degrees, to the point that the inhabitants of the Rhodes Island were evacuated because it was dangerous due to fires. On top of that, because of this postponed trip to Greece that didn't happen in July, I was able to get to 2 events that I wouldn't have gotten to if I hadn't rescheduled my trip. And those 2 events were very important to me. In the moment, the occurrence seems like a bad thing. The trip is derailed, you lose your money due to irrevocable hotel reservations. You manage to negotiate with some. But in the end, everything ends up happening in the best way possible. So where do people's perceptions differ? The fact that some people look at thwarted plans or unexpected events as a tragedy and think that everything is terrible, everything goes wrong, everything is bad. They start to resist everything that happens. But the world is perfect and wise. If you don't get somewhere for some reason, something happens in your life, then in some way, that's exactly what's best for you. And when you start seeing all events, absolutely everything through this prism, through this program, then your life changes radically. You start to trust the process. You start to trust that you may not really know or understand something, but you trust what's going on. If an event occurs, then in some way it is best for you. If you have some unfortunate event has turned around for you with tremendous luck, or with incredible resource or life change, and at first you thought it was a bad thing, please share your story briefly in the comments. I think it would be helpful for others to see these same events in their own lives through you, and start seeing them differently. So in order to make sure this video doesn't just leave your mind, apply it to your real life. Take a pen and a piece of paper and write down any event that you have going on right now, or that happened today or yesterday, and you're experiencing it vividly right now, and you're thinking, what's with this universal injustice? Why is it like this? Start identifying the benefits. Why exactly is this good for you? If the experience is still fresh and you can't determine right now why you couldn't get somewhere, or instead leave someplace. Just keep in your head that at some point you'll know exactly why it was the best for you. Give it a month or two. Observe it. And then analyze the event again 2 months later. See why exactly it was good for you. Or maybe you can remember an event in your life right now that happened not yesterday, but 6 months ago. And then in the moment it seemed to you as something tragic, horrible, unfair, unpleasant, uncomfortable. 6 months have passed. Write out the points why after 6 months this particular set of circumstances turned out to be a good thing for you. Why exactly is this good for you? Then you will have a different perspective on all aspects of your life. On relationships, on career, on fulfillment, even on your financial situation. For some reason, that's what's best for you. If this point of view seems unconventional to you and you want more material, unconventional vision on some things, I suggest you go to my Telegram channel. There I often take apart various situations and look at them through an unconventional lens and share that lens with others. Perhaps it will resonate with you. Go to the Telegram channel and look for your answers. And you can use the search tool to find some topic you're interested in. Link in the description.
The job example is good. I can feel it, and so can most people. But some will say, my baby died, or my dad, my mom, a loved one. How could it be for the best?
Of course, if you're experiencing such a tragic event, you may need support, living it all through to get past the loss. But when you start seeing, for example, that maybe you didn't value the relationship with that person before, maybe you weren't able to enjoy the moment. The reason why it may be good for you is because now you see that everything flows. Everything changes and life is fleeting. And all people are not eternal. And maybe it is this tragic event that will teach you to enjoy the present moment, here and now, and to savor simple events. Having tea together, drawing, talking about nothing together, spending time watching the river. Sometimes people devalue ordinary life and perfectly mundane human actions. They feel like it doesn't mean anything and it's worthless. And it takes a tragedy of some sort for them to start appreciating life's moments. So yes, it can be an event that is horrible in its nature. But you don't have to cover it up with positivity. You have to live through the feelings you have. But in any case, no matter how negative an event is, it always brings something positive for you too. Value the moment. Value the relationships you have. The human, simple things. The ability to see each other, to drink tea together, to talk about nothing, to cuddle. But when these things are in abundance in a person's life, they get used to it and stop appreciating it. And for some reason, that's what's best for you. If there is some unforeseen event in your life right now, if something isn't working out as planned, then give this video a like. This video is definitely for you. Further on, as you go about your life, there will never be a point where all negative events from your life are completely gone. Successful people, fulfilled people, they live through some sort of trouble every day, but their attitude towards that trouble is completely different. Thinking in terms of, okay, somehow this is what's best for me. You watch others and think that someone is happier, more fulfilled and positive than you, and seems that only good things happen in their life. But no, they have the same things going on in their lives as you do, but their attitude towards those events is completely different. Congratulations, you've watched this video to the end. If you apply this technique, it will definitely reprogram your entire brain. And you will look at life differently and experience what happens to you in a completely different way. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the bell, and don't miss out on any videos that will help you change your life. In those videos, you'll definitely find